Hey, how you doing, YouTube? I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about what if the Detroit Pistons actually selected Carmelo Anthony in the 2003 draft instead of selecting. Well, I'm getting into all that. This is pretty much a video like how good the Pistons could have been if they would have drafted him, and like just how Carmelo Anthony's future would be completely changed if they would have drafted him. So without further ado, without rambling on too much, just get right into this video. Alright, so before I get into what if he did get drafted, I'm going to be getting into what actually happened on the day of the draft. And we all know in the 2003 draft, LeBron James was picked #1 overall by Cleveland. I mean, obviously he's the best player out of that draft. He's one of the best players in the NBA. Obviously we know that. But then the Pistons had the 2nd overall pick in the entire NBA, and they selected Darko, weird last name, who only averaged 1.4 points per game and 1.3 rebounds per game his entire rookie season, which it's pretty bad. I think you can say it's very, very bad. And only one pick later was a future 10-time All-Star and 6-time All-NBA player, Carmelo Anthony, who had a much better rookie year, you could say, averaging 21 points per game, 1.2 steals per game, and 3 assists per game, going along with 6 rebounds per game. So you could say he had a much better rookie year than the Pistons drafted in Darko. Now, what happened after the draft was, even though despite having the draft bust and Darko, they still were able to go on and win the NBA Finals, and Carmelo Anthony was able to improve the Denver Nuggets tremendously, as, I mean, he brought them from having a 17-win season to having a 44-win season. He increased their winning a lot, and Carmelo just showed that he is a very good player and is going to be a future star to come. While the Pistons, they still had a very successful year, but not due to much help from Darko. I mean, it was pretty obvious. But now I'm going to get into what would have actually happened if the Pistons would have drafted Carmelo Anthony with the 2nd overall pick. Now, after the draft, they made it to the finals twice, and they made it to the conference finals 3 times, and for 5 years straight. So they had a very, very successful run, even without drafting Carmelo Anthony, as they were still a very, very good team. And in the second finals, it was only 2 years after the draft, and they lost in 7 games to the San Antonio Spurs. But the main problem for the Detroit Pistons was their offense, as, I mean, their offense averaged the 6th least amount of points per game in the entire league, while Carmelo Anthony's Nuggets averaged the 5th most. So, I mean, if they would have had Carmelo Anthony, they most likely would have won that finals. That would have given them their 2nd finals in a row. As, I mean, their scoring would have been much improved, obviously. I mean, they would have went from 6th to probably top 10 in the offense, and they're already a very good defensive team, so even Carmelo's lack of defense wouldn't have been as bad either. So, I mean, I'm sure Carmelo Anthony would have put them over the edge on San Antonio Spurs, and they would have 2 finals back-to-back. And then even when you look at the 3 years they lost in the conference finals, they lost to the Cavs, the Celtics, and the Heat, and I mean, they lost all of them in 6 games. But the one against the Cavs, the Pistons were very, very heavily favored to win that series, and the reason they ultimately didn't was, once again, because, like, LeBron is a beast. LeBron is a GOAT, and no one can keep up with LeBron's scoring, and that is when LeBron still played very good defense because he was so young. So LeBron, like, he just outplayed the Pistons altogether. He's the entire reason they won. But if you would have had someone like Carmelo Anthony who could at least keep up with LeBron's scoring, now he would not obviously be as good as LeBron, but he would at least kept up with LeBron's scoring, and they would have had someone that they could actually, like, have a legit, like, player to play on LeBron instead of just LeBron take over. And then, I mean, it's not even like Carmelo would have to guard LeBron. They would probably put someone else on him, and they had a very good defensive team with the type of players that they had on that Piston roster at the time. So I'm sure they would have won that series and went to the NBA Finals for, I'm pretty sure, no, because they lost to the Heat that one year. They would have went to their 3rd finals in 4 years if they would have won that game. So, I mean, you can't really say that they wouldn't have won that conference finals either without Melo, because I really do think they would, and they probably would have went on the finals and won that as well, but we don't know. And then the other 2, they also lost in 6, but, I mean, I think they lost to LeBron again against Miami Heat, and I'm pretty sure they would have been out-talented either way by the Miami Heat. The Boston Celtics, you could have made an argument that they could have still won that series. So, I mean, I think at most they could have won 3 NBA titles instead of the 1 that they did. And, I mean, they probably would have been able to make it to the finals 3 times in 5 years, except for 2 times in 5 years, and they probably would have won it 3 times. At most, they could have won 5, which would be very possible, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, I think realistically they would have won 3 if they would have had Melo. But now I'm going to get into how this would affect Carmelo Anthony as a player, because right now, I mean, he's known as pure offense, one of the best scorers we've ever seen, one of the best offensive players we've ever seen, but he's not too great on defense, as he's probably one of the worst defensive players in the league right now. Well, Detroit Pistons just so happened to be one of the best defensive teams in the entire league at that point, had very good veterans, and they passed the ball very, very well, and they were just good fundamentally, and that's why they were so good. Well, Carmelo Anthony was drafted to a team like that. Well, maybe the veterans would have taught him how to play defense. I mean, he just, obviously he knows how to play defense, but I mean, they would have at least taught him how to play efficient defense, something that he does not do very well right now. And with the players that they had, I mean, he would have been forced to play pretty good defense, or he would not have made it. So I'm sure he would be a much better defender than he is right now, but also he'd be a lot less selfish. I mean, he's still a decent player, don't get me wrong. I mean, right now, he's a Hall of Famer in my opinion, right, for his whole career. But I mean, right now, he's still a decent player, but I think he would have a much bigger impact on the teams that he's on right now, because he'd be a much better passer, pass the ball around, he'd be more fundamentally sound than he is right now. And I just think Carmelo Anthony would ultimately be a better player if he was signed with the Pistons, as I mean, when he was signed with the Nuggets, he was pretty much given the reins, here, shoot. Just shoot, score as many points as you want. And that's pretty much what he did his first rookie year. And I mean, that kind of sent him on the trend of, I don't need to pass, I'm just going to score all the points myself. And I mean, that was kind of shown when Jeremy Lin had Linsanity, and then Carmelo Anthony pretty much was the reason that Jeremy Lin was traded, and his career was pretty much ruined from there. But I mean, I think Carmelo would be a much better player than he is right now. I mean, he is obviously in his 15th year of his career, so you can't expect too much. He's going into his 16th. He's getting old, but I mean, still, he would be a much better player than he is right now. But unfortunately, guys, this is going to be your first video, so comment below, do you agree with me? Do you think they would have won? How many finals do you think they would have won? Do you think Carmelo would be better? Do you think the Pistons should have drafted him? I do, obviously. And do you think, why do you think they didn't draft Carmelo? I want to hear all your thoughts and opinions below. If any video ideas you want to see me make in the future, comment those below as well. I know I just said "as" 2 times in a row, and I am sorry. I am sorry. Sorry, that was a bad joke. I am sorry. Let's stop saying sorry. God. Anyway, God, I'm getting off track. But like I said, comment, and subscribe. Do all those good things. And thank y'all so much for the support y'all been showing. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't do this without y'all. I love what I'm doing. Y'all are making it so nice to be able to make these videos. I'm at 551 subscribers, I'm pretty sure, right now. And I can't thank y'all enough for that. Mwah, just kiss all y'all. I need to stop doing that. That's weird. I do it a lot. And stop kissing your fans. Oh, God. Don't no one ever clip that in my life. Anyway, let me just do the outro. Hope you have a blessed day, because I had a blessed day, so y'all need to have a blessed day. See you in tomorrow's video. Goodbye. Boom. Bop, bop, bop. Ah!